Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. Today we're looking at April 29th, a day where humanity repeatedly proved that if you give us enough pressure, faith, fear, or absolute chaos, we will respond in the most dramatic way possible, usually while convinced we're making perfect sense at the time. Segment 1, when gods, earthquakes, and empires send mixed signals. Ancient Rome kicks us off with the Floralia Festival, a state-sponsored party so wild it makes modern spring break look like a church picnic. Because nothing says, please bless our crops, like public nudity and bean throwing. The Romans genuinely believed their agricultural success depended on keeping a fertility goddess entertained, which raises the uncomfortable question of whether civilization is just organized superstition with better architecture. Fast forward to the year 801, where Charlemagne is freshly crowned Holy Roman Emperor, essentially rebranding Europe as Rome 2.0. And then the earth immediately shakes and collapses a major basilica. It's the medieval equivalent of launching a new company and having your headquarters fall into a sinkhole during the ribbon cutting. In both cases, people didn't see randomness. They saw messages. Either the gods wanted more dancing or God wanted less confidence. And honestly, history suggests the safest strategy might have been somewhere in between. Segment 2, and the day entire armies disappear and teenagers save nations. In 1091, the Byzantine Empire pulls off a maneuver so decisive, it basically deletes an entire invading culture in a single afternoon at the Battle of Livonian, which is less a victory and more a historical hard reset. It's the kind of win that solves your immediate problem while quietly creating a long-term moral headache. Because wiping out an entire people is effective, but not exactly a glowing Yelp review for empire building. Then, in 1429, France flips the script by handing military leadership to a teenage peasant girl, Joan of Arc, who shows up, changes the wind, literally, and suddenly turns a losing war into a comeback story. It's like if your struggling football team hired a 17-year-old with visions, and she immediately wins the Super Bowl. The irony is incredible. Seasoned generals fail for years, and then a teenager walks in with divine confidence and fixes everything in a week. History keeps reminding us that experience is useful, but belief, misplaced or not, can be downright dangerous when it works. Segment 3, and purity, power, and the cost of winning too hard. By 1492, Spain has just unified and decided that victory isn't complete without total religious conformity, leading to the Alhambra Decree and the expulsion of Jewish communities. It's a masterclass in winning so aggressively you accidentally sabotage your own future, like firing all your smartest employees because you don't like their opinions and then wondering why the company collapses 10 years later. Meanwhile, in 1521, Sweden is busy proving that if you eliminate the elite class to prevent rebellion, you might just end up fighting an even angrier group of farmers with nothing to lose, and losing to them. It's almost poetic. The very strategy meant to prevent resistance creates a more chaotic, unpredictable one. And then, in 1672, the Dutch Republic faces invasion and decides the best defense is to flood their own country, which is either genius or the most dramatic rage quit in geopolitical history. If we can't have this land, nobody can. Except, in this case, it actually works. It's the ultimate reminder that survival sometimes requires decisions that look insane until they succeed. Segment 4, and discovery, language, and the power of naming things. In 1770, Captain James Cook arrives in Australia and immediately runs into the awkward reality of first contact, where one side has muskets and maps, and the other has every reason to distrust both. It's a moment that would eventually reshape an entire continent, proving that exploration is often just the beginning of consequences no one fully understands at the time. Jump to 1852, and Peter Marc Roget publishes his Thesaurus, which is far less violent, but arguably just as influential. because it gives humanity the ability to say the same thing in 10 different ways, which politicians immediately recognize as a superpower. What's fascinating is that Roget created it as a coping mechanism for his own mental struggles, meaning one of the most widely used tools in language started as a personal attempt to impose order on chaos. Whether mapping new lands or organizing words, humans seem obsessed with categorizing the world, even when we barely understand it. Segment 5, and war, deception, and the thin line between strategy and absurdity, April 29th. During World War II feels like history hitting fast forward. Operation Mincemeat sees the Allies trick the Nazis using a corpse with fake documents, which sounds like a rejected spy movie plot until you realize it worked perfectly. It's a reminder that intelligence isn't just about firepower. It's about convincing your enemy to make the wrong move, preferably using something as bizarre as a fabricated identity for a dead man. On the same day in 1945, Dachau is liberated, exposing horrors so unimaginable they forced the world to confront what had been happening in plain sight, proving that denial is often easier than reality, until reality becomes unavoidable. And then, almost unbelievably, German forces in Italy surrender while Hitler is underground getting married, as if the regime is collapsing both militarily and emotionally at the exact same time. It's the ultimate contradiction, total war ending alongside a private ceremony, like the world is ending outside and someone still trying to keep up appearances inside. Segment 6, and collapse, chaos, and the modern world's breaking points. By 1975, the Vietnam War ends not with a decisive victory, but with helicopters evacuating people from rooftops, a visual that perfectly captures the gap between political promises and reality. It's not just a retreat, it's a televised realization that power has limits. In 1991, a devastating cyclone in Bangladesh shows how natural disasters become human catastrophes when infrastructure and social systems fail, highlighting that vulnerability is often engineered as much as it is environmental. And then, in 1992, Los Angeles erupts after the Rodney King verdict, turning frustration into visible, undeniable unrest. What connects these moments is the same underlying pattern. When systems fail, whether military, political, or social, the response is rarely calm or orderly. It's explosive, messy, and deeply human, because pressure doesn't disappear, it finds a way out. In conclusion, April 29th is less a collection of isolated events and more a recurring theme, humanity reacting to pressure with a mix of belief, desperation, and occasional brilliance. Whether it's throwing festivals to appease gods, flooding your own country to stop an invasion, or trusting a teenager to save a nation, the common thread is that people rarely respond to crisis with moderation. Instead, we go big, sometimes catastrophically, sometimes successfully, and often both at the same time.